Hello everyone, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. I am the Sipping Tea, and today I'm going to talk to you about the T95E2 Cold War medium tank. So, without further delay, let's get into it. So, first of all, I want to make sure that there is no confusion, as there is a Tier 8 version of this tank in World War II. That's clearly not the tank that I am reviewing today. I am in fact reviewing, as I said in the intro, the T95E2, but the 1957 variant. So, the key statistics of this particular tank are, with it being a premium tank, it has an additional silver bonus earn rate of 55%, tank XP earn rate of 15%, and crew XP earn rate of 15%. The free XP earn rate is just 6%. So not too bad as a money maker for silver, but equally not the best either, as it does fall short by about 10% in that regard. Moving on then to the gun, we'll start with the usual key statistics such as the penetration. So with standard shells, this gun does have 234mm of penetration and 300mm of penetration with premium rounds. Both types of rounds will deal with an alpha of 240 damage. Now, what makes this tank quite different is that it does actually offer the hydraulic suspension, so quite similar to some Swedish tanks in World War II mode, along with a few others as well. So when the tank is not in siege mode, the gun depression is 9 degrees and gun elevation is 19 degrees, but when the tank is in siege mode, you get an extra 5 degrees of gun depression, taking it to 14 degrees gun depression total, and an extra 3.3 degrees gun elevation, taking it to 22.3 degrees total gun elevation. There are a few other statistics that change with the with siege mode once it has been enabled. Despite on the sort of the facts sheet about this tank where it talks about accuracy, it does say that it maintains the same accuracy when you're in siege mode as well as out of it. That would otherwise be 0.32. Personally, I have found that the reticle does actually bloom. It gets bigger, so you become less accurate when you're in siege mode, which is a bit odd. I'm almost wondering if it's a bug. It could just be a visual bug as opposed to something that actually has any mechanical effect, I suppose. But yeah, nonetheless, that is something I've noticed, and I'm sure if you've got this tank, if you sort of experiment with it, if you sit still and just aim at something and then engage and disengage siege mode, you will see that the sights do actually bloom and indeed shrink back down upon engaging and disengaging siege mode. At least at the time of this recording, that's the case. Whether or not it's been fixed, I don't know. At this moment in time, as I speak to you now, it is actually Monday, the 8th of August, so it's in fact the day before the update, so of course they could well have fixed that if it indeed was a bug. Anyway, moving on from that, you can enjoy 7 rounds of ammunition with this tank, which is pretty decent. 1.9 seconds aiming time, which is okay, it's not too bad, and the reload time is 6.1 seconds, so 9.84 rounds per minute. Of course, as per usual, that is completely vanilla, so to speak, so no influencing factors such as equipment, consumables and crew skills. Moving on from there, it does have a view range of 460 meters. The maximum HP for this tank is 1,750, so a bit more of course than the World War II Tier 8 variant. So something that is really important to keep in mind with this tank is that it does actually have a disadvantage when you enter siege mode. So what that disadvantage is in regards to the mobility is that you are capped at 20 kilometers an hour both forwards and backwards. So you don't want to find yourself in siege mode if you're suddenly set upon and really need to get out of there quick. It does only have a 1 second transition phase, so it's not like you're sat there forever, but 1 second can make a difference when you are going up against some fast movers. Something else I'm going to briefly mention here as well, also quite important to keep in mind with this tank, and if you own it and have played it, you will possibly already know about this, or regrettably will soon experience it if you do, and that is that the gun is a little bit, I think, buggy. I have already mentioned a part of this earlier on where I was mentioning about how the accuracy decreases upon going into siege mode. You'll see that reticle bloom. However, I found that when you're on a hill, say, and you're looking down at an enemy, sometimes the reticle will just move entirely on its own when it's going over an enemy tank. It's quite a bizarre thing to see. I will actually include a video clip of this at the very end of this video, and hopefully you'll be able to see what I mean. But yeah, it's a bit of an odd one. The gun is I don't know, loose, I guess, is the way I would describe it. It sort of moves around unlike any other tank here in Cold War. So yeah, hopefully you'll see what I mean with the footage that I will include at the very end of this video. So do check that out, as seeing is believing, and it's going to be a lot easier for you to see what I mean than me spending any more time waffling on about it, trying to explain it. The engine has a 15% fire chance, so that is reasonably high, so you may wish to consider a fire extinguisher and or the appropriate cruise skills to try and negate some of that risk. Personally, I'm not entirely sure I would really wish to run around without a fire extinguisher in a tank that has such a high risk of catching fire. That really does it for the main statistics of the tank. I suppose the only other thing that I have missed out is that switching to siege mode is literally 1 second, and likewise switching out of it. In terms of how you enable siege mode for Xbox, which is the console I play on, I know that it is left on the D-pad. Forgive me, PlayStation users, I'm afraid I do not know what that is, but it's the same as it would be in World War II to activate various different modes on tanks, like for instance even the Polish medium tanks where they have sort of that turbo engine ability. It would be that same button. Of course, your mileage may vary depending on if you've changed the button layout in your game settings. So moving on from there, I would say that for equipment, personally, I went for advanced loader, just to get that gun firing a bit quicker, as of course I'm always a fan of that. I did also go for traction system, just to get it to be a little bit more nimble, so it can sort of dart about a bit more, so increasing the maximum speed by 10% and the whole rotation speed also by 10%, hugely advantageous, I would say. And from there I went for improved ventilation, just to give everything more or less a quick boost of 5%. Regarding cruise skills, it's going to be the same as ever for this tank. So basically anything that improves reload, anything that improves accuracy while stationary or on the move, Sixth Sense is a must. Those I see are the most important type of skills for pretty much any tank, and this one is of course no exception. Regarding consumables, you can see in the footage here that I've gone for what I consider to be my standard consumable loadout, which is the premium repair kit, so I can repair as many times as my heart desires in a game once it's out of cooldown. The standard med kit and the standard fire extinguisher. So that's a pretty basic and I'd say quite acceptable loadout regarding the consumables. In summary, I would say that the T95E2 is actually a reasonably good tank. In the footage here, you're actually able to see at one point that it did in fact bounce around from an FV 4005 for about 1100. That's tremendous. I mean, that would have been quite devastating to have had that damage, or even close to that damage, come off my tank. And the fact that the turret armor was able to just shrug that off is very impressive. But then again, this pattern style turret, of course, is known to be quite formidable. So yeah, it's pretty good that it's able to do that though. All in all, I would say that it's very much a tank worth getting. There's currently a earn op on for this tank, or at least I should say there has been an earn op, because it may have disappeared by the time this video goes out. Truly worth getting this. I mean, any free tank, for the sake of you get it by playing the game, is worth getting, of course. Who would say no to a free tank? But I've personally found it to be pretty good. It is very good at playing on the ridge line, what with it having very good turret armor, and the hydraulic suspension with that 14 degrees gun depression really does mean that you can keep the vast majority of your tank quite safe and out of the way, allowing you to shoot the enemy and hopefully not receive too much punishment in return. So basically, that is the summary of the tank. Do get your hands on it if at all possible. It is typically available for sale as well, of course, for about 8,500 gold, though again, if you can get it for free, then well, why not? But that is it for this video. Thank you ever so much for watching. I want to also just briefly mention the usual stuff, which is, please do take a look at the description box below, where you will see links to my Patreon, my Twitter and my Twitch. I want to once again give Tragic Nemesis a shout out for his continued support via Patreon. It's greatly appreciated, especially with all of the technical issues I've been having recently. I keep on promising everyone that I will get on Twitch again soon, and I had to keep on pushing it back because I just simply cannot get my equipment to do what I want it to do, which is enormously frustrating. But well, I will get around to it. The end is in sight in that regard. And also, I will say that the quality of my videos should now be vastly improved. I know that particularly the last commentary video, where I was in the Leopard 2A5, it was very choppy, and I do apologise for that. But that shouldn't happen anymore. I've addressed that issue, and everything now, all of my recordings now, seem to be quite smooth. Hopefully you can see that in this footage as well. So yeah, things are on the up. Do check out the links in the description, like I said. But that's it for this video. Thank you ever so much for watching, and I'll catch you next time.